Everybody in the chat. Hello, everybody driving around town. Hope you're well. Hope everybody's feeling good. I feel good. Feel good today. I did something, Tom. First of all, I take it your trip to New York City. The flight there today was solid. You're good. You look healthy. You look happy. You look raring to go.
Yeah, I got a little bit of a nap on the second flight. It was a little 3 a.m. wake up call.
Look at it. It's not good to go.
Uh-oh. Is there a little echo going on here?
I'm hearing echo in me. All right. It's off the
I
rails
do as
to
well.
start the show. I'll do this. We'll get him situated. But first, let me do this. Florida State got the win against Notre Dame last night, and I watched that and another basketball game. I'm trying. Guys, I am trying. But let me first note, because I'm going to circle back to one of the other basketball games because it'll make you laugh. Florida State's 4-4 in the ACC, 6-13. They're not good. But if you think about this, before the game last night, they were winless on the road. Hell, they were winless in neutral site games to boot. All 5 of their previous victories, as noted in Ira's story on Warchant.com, but certainly something I was painfully aware of going into the game, had come at the TLC Double C. And they got a real road win, an honest-to-goodness road win. And while they're not good, nobody's going to make the argument that they are. In fact, if you really want to look at it and where they're at, FSU's 4 ACC wins have come against teams who are a combined 2-21 in league play. Woo! Now, that said, when you consider that their first 8 games, Florida State was 1-7. They lost to Stetson and Troy and Siena. They weren't competitive against anybody. So why do I bring it up? Well, I bring it up because the season was lost in the first 10 games, and you really could have seen an unmitigated disaster from an effort standpoint. And we're not getting that. So you don't get a that a boy for competing. You should compete. But it is noted at the very least that they have fought and they've gotten better. There are only a couple bad teams really left on the schedule right now. At Louisville, February the 4th, versus Boston College on February the 18th. But we do play Virginia Tech on March 4th. The Hokies are decent, even though they're 1-5 in the ACC currently. So if you're just looking at the schedule, you're thinking, what other wins are there? Well, you have 12 remaining games in the regular season right now, and you're trying to get, you got to get some wins over the 9 ACC teams currently above them in the standings, all with winning records in the conference. And that would include, by the way, the ever elusive and perhaps for the first time while on these airwaves, a celebratory moment of the Platinum Bohica matchup with number 17 Miami, who, by the way, is 15-3 and 6-2 in the ACC. That game will be at the TLC Double C on January the 24th. If you wanted to circle your calendars and pick a game, it's still there. We could get there. Dare to dream, guys. It's doubtful. I'm with you on that. But Florida State gets the win last night. And on that note, you think about this. I'm looking at a really balanced scoring lineup last night with Dennis Green Jr., 20 points, 15 in the first half. Jalen Worley, who's not very good, had 17 points. Matthew Cleveland, who's a machine these days, his 8th consecutive double-double, 14 points, 16 rebounds. First player, by the way, for FSU to record that many consecutive doubles since a glorious year. 1971, the year I was born. First Nole to do it. 8 consecutive double-doubles with 14 points and 16 rebounds last night. 8 consecutives to do it since 1971. Congratulations go out to Matthew Cleveland, because when you think about it, think about how poor his season began. It is something to note. Again, Florida State's 4-4 in the ACC, 6-13 overall, had gone winless. All 5 of the previous victories had come right there at the Tucker Center. So we get some good news there. We get something of a reprieve from the nightmare that has been these games with Florida State on the hardwood, and the season that you never want to see Ham have, especially towards the end of a career. We were asked several questions yesterday during Seminole Headlines about who would replace Leonard Hamilton, whether he leaves at the end of this year, the end of the following year. Look, there's one thing that cannot be debated. I remember this. I'm going to go back a ways now. I remember when I was talking initially, before we flat out had to say it, but initially, going back with Coach Bowden, I remember thinking, okay, well, the time is upon us. When you're unable to do, when you're unable to put your guys in a position to succeed consistently, or there are problems within the staff, or the product is beginning to diminish, oftentimes it's all three of these indicators that you'll note. You want to get out in front of it. Now, when you have a legend that's coaching, you don't race to fire that guy, especially not one like Bobby Bowden. So you're not gonna race to fire that guy. And that was duly noted even back in the day before all the controversy when I first started in radio, and after a while started to suggest that they needed to move on from Bobby Bowden, which was met with a lot of obviously acrimony. Okay, we're not going to relitigate all that. My point is I want to put you in the headspace of where we're dealing with something in which it's uncomfortable. And a lot of Florida State fans suggested as much yesterday on Seminole Headlines when they asked the question, how much longer does Leonard Hamilton have left? I don't know the answer to that question, but here's what I do know. Just like with Coach Bowden, and it's not the same. I understand Bobby Bowden won a couple of national titles to go along with. What I'm saying, though, is when you have a beloved leader of men and a man that, in the case of Leonard Hamilton, winningest coach in program history, all these things, the same sort of consideration is at hand where you try to figure out the path or what does it look like. And it's often untenable, the situation. It's often very difficult to even have the conversation, makes people feel very uncomfortable. Got it. But here's what's not uncomfortable. Here's what's just a fact. Here's something that's irrefutable. Leonard Hamilton is not a young man. Just like Bobby Bowden was not a young man when we were having these conversations. We're not talking about a guy that's 43 that's going to turn it around with a lot of hard work and longer days at the office. We're talking about guys that are on the back end of their career, if you're just putting it nicely. We're at the tail end is a better way of saying it. So you have to, by definition, be looking for his replacement. Whether that is next year, the year after, is irrelevant. It's not germane to the conversation. It's just a must for an athletic director and for a program that obviously is going to continue on after he leaves. And you would begin to ask the question, who is the person that you would tab? Where is Florida State's basketball program at? Well, it's a far cry better. It's in a far cry better place now than it was before Ham. But that said, what is reasonable to expect about what you could get? Has it elevated to a place where there would be significant names that you know of, guys that are established, successful coaches? College basketball is weird anyhow. If you look around college basketball, you have countless examples where guys succeeded at a very high level. Say at mid-majors, we do this all the time, right? Who's the next hot prospect? Who's the guy? Well, Steve Robinson was that guy when he's at Tulsa, for Christ's sake. Everybody thought, can't miss. Look at this guy. He's got Tulsa into the dance. Got to bring him in. Steve was miserable. And I liked Steve. He was a super nice guy. He always came on the show, and even though he was sort of deadpan and boring, he was a super nice guy to talk to, and he cared deeply, and he sucked here. It was awful. I used to have to go on the air every morning. This is back when I was doing mornings. I'm like, oh, man, I got to talk about another road loss. We haven't won a road game in 2 years. There's no nice way to say, oh, hang in there, Steve. We're going to get you one at some point. The red zone and all that nonsense. It was brutal. My point is, you can go through everybody thought Mike White was going to work out in Florida. Didn't work out in Florida. All kinds of resources and cachet at Florida. He was terrible. He's doing all right at Georgia. Go figure. College basketball is weird. I don't know the answer to the question, and I would think that it would probably be something along the lines of, I don't know, CY. I mean, the assistant with Gates at Mizzou. You're not going to get Gates now that he's getting SEC money. You're not going to be able to bring him back. You're going to have to find somebody. I don't know. I don't know the answer to the question, but it's really on the minds of a lot of people who are saddened to see the kind of season that Florida State's having. And there's a way to talk about it. It's uncomfortable, but there's a way to do it. And temporarily, last night, you had a reprieve from that conversation, which is that Florida State won. Is Tom with us?
I am with you.
Loud and clear, louder than ever.
Loud. There we go. All right. So these are the first words spoken on the JCS from Manhattan. Is that a fact in the history of the show?
When I went to Manhattan, I don't remember doing a show. Did I check in? I think it probably is. I may have checked in. But yeah.
What I'd say about the current situation is circumstances show you before and after what this program, what this team could have been this year, which is, I think, upper echelon in the ACC if they had all the pieces and if they were able to develop as the plan should have gone, injury-free, suspension-free. They're 500 in the ACC as it is with all the problems that they've had, and Baba Miller not able to join the fray out the gate. And that still looks very disjointed. Like early on last night, you see the possession where he jacks up a 3 from 25 feet. Next possession, it's a little mid-range leaner, and it's absolutely perfect and smooth and silky. And you say, all right, you could see what he does well and what he's struggling with. They should have been able to figure that out in November. They should have been able to figure that out in December and win some games while they were doing it against teams that they should have beaten. And at that point, the record would be in a much more healthy place, and they would be a tournament contender this season. It doesn't excuse away this string of getting worse as a program, but I think this individual season would have been better if not for the circumstances. So for me, when I talk about the basketball program, I'm looking to see how they continue to compete in the ACC this year. I'm really hoping that Darren Green comes back next season. He's listed as a junior on the website. And if we had a guy like that on some of the teams that were good in the last 5 years, that's 40% from three. I mean, that would have put us – every time we heard about somebody who could really shoot, they were streaky. This guy's just playing crazy.
He can really shoot. He was 4 of 8 last night again. He can shoot it, yeah.
Well, and as you're asserting yourself to that humongous lead in the first 8 minutes of the game, it's all Darren Green. It's with the 4 threes. It's with being fouled on a three-point attempt. And then there's also – he's got some mid-range game to him, tough shots, doesn't matter. That guy's a scorer. I want to see him with a couple more pieces that are healthy and as this whole thing was constructed or intended to be constructed. And I think next year this could be a decent team again. It's in a much better position at that point to hand it off for 2 reasons. Number one, the lay of the land with NIL will have settled a little bit more a year from now. And
that's good that you're bringing that up, Tom, because I'm going to talk some NIL and this Florida fiasco and what it means and also big picture stuff. So please proceed.
Well, if you do that and then you stabilize, you stop the bleeding as a program by that point, then I think you're at least on some more solid ground to make a decision. Right now, it just feels like everything's topsy-turvy from the roster, the injuries, the suspension, but then also the world of college basketball, the world of college sports. It's hard to know, in short, what this program can be right now, but maybe a year from now, Leonard can steer the ship to a little bit more of a calmer place before we make the change.
Yeah, well, okay, so that is an ideal set of circumstances that you're positing. I would, too, like to see that. Who wouldn't, right? If you care about Florida State and you love Leonard Hamilton, the man, and the success he's had and all these things that we are well aware of. I don't know that it's going to happen, Tom. I think it remains in question. I'm worried about it for his sake. I do know that it can't be allowed to linger. You don't want to go 3 and 4 and 5 years of losing, and that's where we remain true to the task here. You are not a victim of your successes, but you are held accountable when they begin to fall off. And so this will be 2 straight bad years. Last year sucked. I understand the reasons. We could get through point by point. We could go through them all. This year's going to suck, period. At best, what do they win, 10 games? Maybe. So, again, this is back-to-back terrible years. I don't think that next year, even with all of the people that you're describing coming back, perhaps that they're going to be any kind of a juggernaut or elite in any way. They may be a middle-of-the-pack ACC team at best. So I do worry about it, but you're right. That is the best-case scenario, that you don't have the man leave on a losing season, that he rights the ship, you make the tournament, even if you get bounced in the first round or something, you wave goodbye and say it's been fun, and we celebrate you the way that it should be. That's ideal, as opposed to what we so often see, and we've seen here, is people holding on, and there's just always the hope about next year, and then it doesn't happen, and then the infighting occurs, and it gets ugly, and what to do, and reputations are besmirched. And it's just that nobody likes to see any of that.
Yeah, agreed. And look, it helps that you played Louisville and Notre Dame twice in your first 8 games in ACC play if you're talking about building a record. But I think this potentially is a middle of the pack ACC team this year. And they're missing one of the key cogs in their rotation, what would have been their best rebounder and defender. And they've still got to figure out. It might take another 2 to 3 weeks before they realize what Baba Miller needs to be in the half court offensively for us. It's a disastrous set of circumstances. I think they have enough in the way of cachet and enough clout on the recruiting trail, even still, to stabilize the situation. Everything feels very unstable right now. Some of that is in their control. They were soft last year. I ripped them for that. They were. And there are times this year where they look like they don't have much of leadership in the way of leadership on the court either. That's problematic, and it insults the Trent Forrest and Terrence Manns of the world that helped take this Leonard 2.0 place or program to a completely higher place. But at the same time, these are strange circumstances and strange times in college basketball. So I would rather just make a decision about the future of the program, not immediately. I want to see how this all shifts a little bit. And while we're doing that, we watch a football program that has come back from the dead. So that's a good thing.
Well, and what we talked about some yesterday, Corey and I were talking about this. One of the things that's sad is that when the football program was lost at sea, and we were all in a rather helpless pose on a daily basis, we turned to basketball to help lift us up, and it did. And so luckily football has now risen back to its rightful place, but we're going to need something to give us hope again on the hardwood. By the way, but last night, Baba Miller, 4 points, 2 of 4 from the field, did have 6 rebounds in 18 minutes. And I thought the ball moved better on the offensive end when he was in the game. So I think he's got a high basketball IQ. I think it's obvious when he's on the floor. So we'll see how much better he makes this team in the games moving forward. All right. So, by the way, opening day is less than a month away. I noted that as far as FSU baseball. Some of you asked about that yesterday. That Florida fiasco has shined a light on collectives in the NIL and what's going to happen in big-time college football moving forward. I have some thoughts on that. Did a deep dive in that situation, regarding that situation, but also called around to some people who would be in the know and where they think this is headed. And it's interesting. I will bring that up here in a moment. Also, we haven't had a chance to talk, Tom, about the end of the Bucks run, disastrous as it was. I think that'll put a ribbon on things with me and my mom. I told you, that's the end of that. We're done. But moreover, Jacksonville, I didn't get to celebrate the Butts properly. And a disastrous probably end to Staley's career. Has to be. I mean, I don't think NFL coaches, and I'm going to bring this up before we go to break, but I do this all the time, and I know college coaches do it because I've talked to them. But sometimes I wonder if NFL coaches do it, which I find absolutely baffling, and how they don't have somebody in their ear telling them in case they forget, because I understand you can get swamped. Count possessions. If you are up 27-0, quickly begin to count possessions. It will give you the answer. It will tell you how it is you are not going to blow this game. Count possessions. You can't account for everything. Guys do just drop balls and they get tipped up in the air and people pick them off and run them back to the house. And you have to give up a special teams touchdown, and sometimes your running back fumbles inexplicably and it's scooped and scored, and all of a sudden the math on possessions changes. But if things remain fairly standard, count possessions, and it's impossible to lose a 27-0 lead near halftime. It's almost impossible, the almost being the exception that was that game the other night.
Seems like Staley's going to survive, though. They fired Lombardi.
I know. Well, one of the reasons that he'll survive is because the Chargers, like no other organization, are fond of keeping deadbeat sorry coaches around. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
The Gators are here.
What's up, guys? Our next partner that you're going to hear from is Athletic Greens. You've heard me talk about Athletic Greens in the past. Happy to talk about them again. I take Athletic Greens every day, and I gave them a try because certainly I wanted more energy, sustained energy. I wanted to support my immune system. I don't like taking pills and vitamins per se, and I wanted something that tasted good too. And the first time I tried it, I was very surprised. It had an appreciable effect on my energy levels. And also, over time, you'll note that it helps your skin, your hair, your nails. I don't have a lot of hair, but if I did, I bet I could feel that. I bet I could tell. It's a comprehensive health habit, and it is a powerful one at that. AG1 is great for recovery. That's Athletic Greens. And I take mine basically when I wake up every morning. I don't have to worry about it because you get all the nutrients that you want. It's the best way to ensure that you're going to get all of your vitamins. It's a carbon neutral business, by the way, if that's important to you. It is to a lot of people, and that's good to know as well. I would also note that it is a comprehensive solution to what you need from a supplement routine. Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs right now with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/JCS. Helps me out, guys, if you use that. Not financially, but it lets them know that you heard this ad on my show. And I do take it, and I am vouching for them because I enjoy their product. It's athleticgreens.com/JCS. Check it out. I think you'll note the difference in your life with a simple drink each and every morning to start your day. athleticgreens.com/JCS.
Cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com.
Bearish situation that the University of Florida is dealing with. Oh, what a shame. The Jaden Rashada situation, who, originally signed with Florida, December 21st, didn't report to campus last week. things continued, and now we're in the situation we're in, and people want to know, well, what happened there? Because I don't want it to happen here. And to me, while it is fun to engage in Schadenfreude and watch Florida look terrible in the eyes of probably recruits everywhere, and that's a good thing. That's a real good thing. I do think about the bigger picture stuff, and I'm going to talk about it in a second. But, Tom, I mentioned this at the outset that I efforted to watch college basketball last night a little bit more. I'm trying, man. I'm trying. And obviously we had our game, but Kansas State upset Kansas last night. And the reason I bring this up is not to break down that game. Don't get nervous. I'm not breaking down Kansas State, Kansas, the overtime victory for Kansas State. That's not what I'm doing. Not here on the Jeff Cameron Show breaking down a regular season college basketball game. Not doing it. They cannibalized the regular season throughout college basketball, making most of that year absolutely worthless anyhow. And the product sucks. But I watched last night. That was a good game. 83-82 in overtime. Had the little alley-oop dunk. Keontae Johnson rolling in the basket on his head, Tom. I don't know if you saw it. It was beautiful. Yeah, there it is. So here's I don't care that he scored, Johnson. The final 5 points for Kansas State, gets the win. 10-game winning streak is no more for the Jayhawks. No. I zeroed in on one of the original wigs, one of the original weaves, one of the original toupees of the Jeff Cameron Show. Now, there have been many well-documented moments over the years in which Detective Cameron sauntered into the studio with news for all, and that was that so-and-so was, in fact, wearing a wig, perhaps the most notable of which was Tom Brady, when I began to tell people long before anybody else suspected, we've got some shenanigans going on up there in New England. There's shenanigans.
Which is a great pun because you said we've got some shenanigans going on in New England. That is next level in the pun game.
I'm glad you like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you know, I don't recall the first to make the show. There were so many over the years that my keen powers of observation as somebody who went bald, wanting to engage in another form of Schadenfreude, aforementioned, while watching others begin to recede and know that their time is limited. And I looked closely, and way back when, it was Bill Self that came to mind. And I found this out, guys, so I'm going to do two things here for you. First of all, there's a website. I've never heard of this website. I discovered it today because I was looking for an image of Bill Self's wig that I was going to give Matthew to put up on the chat. It's extraordinary. He's gone to great lengths. He is, I mean, this is getting up there amongst the best of all time. And I'm talking about best wigs as in worst wigs, but also a willingness to engage, a willingness to wear the shame in such a in-your-face fashion as to cry out, look at this thing, everybody. Look at this thing. And Self has taken it to a new place. But as I searched for the image this morning so I could hand this over to Matthew, there's a website called Fan Buzz. I stumbled across it because I typed into Google Bill Self wig. And one of the articles that came up was Fan Buzz. And this guy, whoever wrote this article, was just now positing the question, does Bill Self wear a wig? Something doesn't seem right. Sir, get out the game. This is not for you. You've got to do better. Does Bill Self wear a wig? What the hell are you talking about? He might as well have just put moss on his head for you to figure this out. What are you doing? It's insane, the wig he wears. We've been talking about Bill Self's wig since the early aughts. Bill Self started weaving back when he was a graduate of Oklahoma State, before he ever became a mainstream elite level cheater at the college level, across the board cheater at the college level. Hair and on the floor, recruiting and the like. But that wig there's no shame. Go look at this thing that he's wearing last night. It's gone from black to a weird shade of reddish brown. It's even thicker than it was 3 years ago, which people know doesn't happen. You don't get more hair as you age, and it doesn't get darker. Look at that thing. Look at that hair. If you're looking at that right now, you are seeing a man committed. A man who's decided, I don't care that you know. Look at this thing, guys. 2 years from now, if this is the progression we're going on, he's going to have Matthew McConaughey's hair. He's going to be sitting at the dais with a straight face doing interviews with Matthew McConaughey's hair. Like it's totally normal. What, my hair? No, that's the natural color. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I never used to grow it out, but I decided to grow it out. I'm not going to, okay, you got me. A little just for men on the sides. Men on the sides. But other than that, it's really just the natural. I decided to let it flow.
It's like Coach K being jet black hair and he's older than Santa Claus. You know, like that's the coloring game. But then this one, I always appreciate when it gets to that copper color. Phil Mickelson had deviated to the copper color as he was going thin up top. And he was still wearing the visor.
Yeah.
It's the color of bracelet that every PGA Tour player wore from 1996 to about 2000. That's the specific color. I think it's PGA Tour bracelet brown. That's what they're going with when they tell the big lie.
What's weird is that if you can afford the best of the best, which would be the McConaughey or the Brady, those are the two best wigs running. I mean, if you didn't have my keen powers of observation for those that have been balding and suddenly are not, or didn't pay attention to such things because perhaps yourself, you were never losing your hair and you didn't think to look, you might be fooled. You might be fooled by some of these. But when it gets to this level, like look how he's balding in 03. Is that 03? He's bald in 03. He's got this thick brown. I mean, just let him flow, baby. Go all in. I'm gonna start wearing the Costanza wig. Like I'm.
Yeah, you got to do Joe Pesci and My Cousin Vinny. You know, that's the lie you want to tell. He in two movies he did in sequence were Goodfellas, which that tells a huge lie too.
Yeah,
and then he wanted to do Home Alone because he wanted something that his kids could watch that he did instead of a bunch of F-bombs left and right. And in Home Alone, he's got the shaved head with the like the spear point.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. But then these other movies, I mean, it is the Costanza. It's something absolutely ridiculous. And I think it would be awesome if one year we do have a follow-up on, say, Halloween, where you break it out. And we've got a Halloween show, and you just go with the full-on 90s mullet George Costanza.
Like, I don't care about being bald, guys. I am bald. I shave my head. You can say I have hair, but it would be all patchy up there if I didn't shave it. So I have to shave it. This isn't jealousy. This is me saying, stop living that lie. This is me saying, be who you are. Now, I'm going to forgive Hollywood actors who have to engage in different roles and look different ways to fulfill parts. Okay, fine. Fine. If you got to be like, if your thing is that you are like for a long time before McConaughey took a right turn and started doing real movies, he was just in every rom-com under the sun and had to be the boy toy guy. I guess he had to get the weave, had to get the lion's mane, had to do it in order to fulfill that fantasy for women out there going to the movies, I guess. But man, Bill Self, you're a fat basketball coach. Stop it. Just go be your bald ass self. Copper red. What? That was the highlight of an overtime game last night. Was me hyper-focused. I was Leonardo DiCaprio on the couch, the meme jumping up, pointing to the TV. Look at that thing. Look at it. It's gotten worse.
It's Retief Goosen Copper Brown. Retief Goosen Copper Brown bracelet. That is the color.
By the way, Retief that was real hair.
Oh, yeah. No. He had real hair. I'm just saying the bracelet he wore. Yeah.
All right. What do collectives have to succeed? As all of you scream out, money! I'll concede that is first and foremost, but there's a lot more. The Rashada situation is teaching us a lot. Luckily, at Florida's expense. I'll expound. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
News now.
Tallahassee City Commissioners are set to discuss the designation of a part of Tallahassee as a state brownfield area. According to the EPA, a brownfield is a property where the reuse, redevelopment, or expansion of it is complicated by the potential presence of hazardous contaminants. The goal of the City of Tallahassee's brownfield program along Lake Bradford and Spring Hill Roads is to redevelop the south side of Tallahassee to grow the local economy. The city will make the decision on changing it to a commercial zone at today's commission meeting. Divers with the Woodville Karst Flame Project found a connecting passage between the 38-mile-long Wakulla Cave System and 7-mile-long Chips Hole Cave System. The nonprofit research group had spent more than a decade looking for the tunnel. Blake Wilson and Steve Cox are the primary explorers. They were the ones to make the discovery, which helps better tell the story of a complex underground aquifer, the source for Leon and Wakulla County's drinking water. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A blend of clouds and sun this afternoon with a high of 74. South winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 59 tonight. Cloudy skies expected. Chance for isolated storms tomorrow. High of 77. A mix of clouds and sun Friday with highs in the upper 60s. Chance for scattered showers Saturday. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 67.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. My man, Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space.
Well,
you got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow burn.
This thing just finished the pinking. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Hey, Greg Tish here along with
Matty Rowe.
And you can listen to us Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Real Talk 93.3. Matt, we give away a couple things each week.
Just a few.
We've got the Florida Farm Bureau Insurance Wheel of Food. We have Give Me a Second, where we play a second of a song and you guess that song. And we also play FLA or Nay. We have a lot of fun Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on
The Greg Tish Show.
Think that's enough?
We could talk about our feelings.
There's a lot.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Capable, Jacob. I understand structurally how it's supposed to go, at least the old-timey ways of doing radio. I just hate it. Also, since you asked another question, I'll answer that while we're at it. If FSU wins the ACC championship next year, will Jeff rock a genuine toupee live on the air? Sure. I'm trying to think of what kind of a toupee. I don't even know, where do you get a toupee? I don't know the answer to these things. Obviously, you could get the kind of silly, over the top, rock and roll hair toupees that everybody can gain access to when it's Halloween. But I you want a real toupee, like a good one, like we're gonna do the glue and all the stuff. I used to take the pictures, and Tom was so scared that I took a picture of that mobster out in L.A. That
Oh my
that
God.
guy. Yeah, I still have that picture. I posted it like 2 years ago on Twitter, and you were like, Jeff, take it down.
Yeah, that guy had murdered people. Like there's no question in my mind.
But he was not worried about the obvious attempt at changing his appearance.
Sir, I apologize to you that photo still exists on the internet. Please do not come for me. Search for Jeff, not me.
That guy's dead.
It's possible, and maybe not by natural means. Maybe somebody finally found him.
That I was very aggressive in my effort to take that photo is what I think concerns you. I was very aggressive. I was going to get this thing documented. We were in Los Angeles. We were at the In-N-Out Burger, and the guy turned, and he had those shades to go with it. He had the Carl Ravitch, only it was a different color. He had the Carl Ravitch hair. His pants were too tight. He had the pinky ring. He had a bracelet. The man was wearing a bracelet and a necklace. It was ridiculous. His shirt was unbuttoned. I was like, I have got to take this picture.
Well, because he also looked like he was melting. He looked like a combination between a mobster and the enemy in Hannibal, the second movie with Anthony Hopkins. Like that guy is just like deformed. I mean, that was. And you said something to Kinsey, get a load of this before you took the photo. I'm like, dude,
I was stunned.
That is so loud. Please.
I did. I blurted it out. I go, look at that guy. I couldn't believe it. It was my dream come true. I did. And I'm loud. And Tom immediately was like, oh, man. Looked away. Like, oh, man. I got him by the soda fountain. He was pinned.
And it wasn't like the Steve Spurrier one, where somebody got him at the fast food place the day after a game, and he looked like he had a good time the night before. Like this was an extremely crowded fast food restaurant. So when you said, look at that guy, there's like 10 people around us that are like, now they're looking at that guy too.
Yeah, they had to have been like, good call, sir. Thank you for drawing my attention to this wackadoo. Hey, here we go. So, you guys have been following the situation. I want to begin this conversation. 4-star quarterback, Jaden Rashada. He's the kid that Florida tried to sign, give a bunch of money to. He originally signed with Miami. I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version. Originally signed with Miami for somewhere in the neighborhood of $9 million. $9 million. Ruiz allegedly was going to pay him. Then like a day later went, no, I'm going to go ahead and go to, quite literally, it was it wasn't a day later. Sorry, it was November the 10th. He flipped to Florida. And that was alleged to be because he got more money. So here's this California kid who is he's a highly rated number 56 prospect or thereabouts quarterback, not a can't miss, but he ends up choosing Miami, then deciding to go to Florida. All right, fast forward, because this is all that any of you care about, and that is that allegedly, that deal was worth $13 million. Now, I've gone through and talked to a lot of people familiar with Florida's collective, and there's an argument about whether it was just north of $9 million or whether or not there was the added year, which would take it to $13 million. It doesn't really matter. What matters now is that this thing fell to pieces. And it got me thinking that not only does that look terrible for them, it does speak to sort of an uneasiness that administrations have with collectives if not done correctly. It does speak to a lack of organization. It does speak to real problems for the University of Florida, most importantly for Coach Napier, who's off to a very, very rocky start. Tragic. But that said, I wanted to know, what is the most important thing beyond money that a collective has to be capable of? So you're going to start with the first answer is 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, as many as you want, 1 through 5 of the first 10. It is money. You have to have the money
to offer the kids. Got it. Everybody understands that. We're all on the same playing field here. You got to have some cash to disperse amongst the players. Got it. But I think from there, it's getting interesting because if you read into that Florida situation, there are competing elements of the collective. There are separate collectives. There are egos everywhere. And that's where I want to start. You have to have an organization that is egoless. You have to have an organization that's buttoned up, organized, and egoless. You don't need 3 and 4 people wanting credit. 3 and 4 people deciding, I want to be known, a la Ruiz at Miami, as the guy who is standing next to the recruit before he ever steps foot on campus that I just signed. I don't need that. You don't want that. You want this to be a buttoned up behind the scenes organization. Oh, sure, people are going to know what your firm or your collective, if you will, does. And they might know that, for example, every time a kid signs, he'll post something on his Instagram or Twitter account that says that he has signed with the Battle's End. But that is the extent, and I'm using them as an example, whether you want to use them or Rising Spirit, whatever you want to do. The point is, yes, you want to have a collective that is organized. Yes, you want to have a collective that's active, that has the money to do what is necessary to lure players, retain players, create stability, have it be a place desirous to recruits in the future because they know there's opportunities in the NIL world. You want all those things, but you don't want an out front, look at me kind of guy battling with 2 and 3 and 4 other out front, look at me kind of guys or gals. You want that to be a behind the scenes understanding of the way that we operate. You also need sustainability. So the next thing you're going to hear about in the NIL world, besides the need for some unilateral changes and parameters with which all schools are going to operate, is can the collective find a way to be sustainable? Because while initially you may have a guy that is tired of seeing his university struggle on the football field, and he might have more money than sense, and he might decide, all right, this is kind of fun, screw it. I'll stroke the check for $10 million for our new roster, $15 million in total for our new roster, perhaps. But he or she is not going to do it year over year over year. It's a stupid investment. No, you've got to find a way to make it sustainable. And I suspect we're going to see collectives and the monies that are collected moving forward in order to disperse take the form of endowments. You have to have cooperative relationships and clear direction in the space. You've got to know what the university's expectations are, what the coaching staff's expectations are. We can pretend that they don't actually talk and figure out the game plan, but we all know that they do. You have to be on the same page. You can't have a situation where the agreed upon price for player A is $100,000, and then Jerry decides he doesn't want to be part of the collective, but he does want to be part of the process of seeing his team turn the corner, and he wants credit for it, so he's going to offer that player $9 million. Now we have a problem on our hands. Lawsuits to follow, no doubt. Got to be organized. It has to be sustainable, and you'd prefer it to be behind the scenes and egoless. You can't have competing forces within the collective realm. There can be more than one collective. They can't be competing collectives. And finally, and most importantly, this gets back to the sustainability. It has to be more than just a check. And I think we're going to learn, and there are some things I certainly know about currently that make me very, very happy with the direction of Florida State's collectives. And that is that it's more than I'll give you money. It's more than here is cash to come play. It's, do you know how to use this? Do you have access to information? Do you have access to expertise? It's one thing to give a kid $100,000. It's another to teach them how far that money can go and how it could set them up for the future if they never make a dime playing professional football. It's what keeps a kid who stumbles into money for the first time in his life from going to the local car lot and buying a $100,000 car with the $100,000 he just got, which is the totality of what he's going to get. And instead, maybe buying a $40,000 car or a $20,000 car or not a car at all. You've got to have the tools to teach in place and experts that are willing to do it. Once again, it has to be more than a check. Presumably, you'd like to have a good relationship with the university higher ups. That may take time. There's a lot of confusion in this realm. Florida, for example, University of, doesn't like their collective, doesn't like the people involved. They can't tell you that, but they don't. And it's happened before the Rashada situation. And now it's gotten uglier. That animosity, that acrimony is only growing. Good. Screw them. Hopefully they suck for years. Let's just hope it doesn't happen to us. So far, Florida State's off to a really good start in this realm. Hour number 2 forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Thank you for calling the Medicare Help Desk. How can we help you?
Can you help me choose the right coverage for myself and my wife?
We sure can. We can help you choose from Medicare supplements, Medicare Advantage, or standalone prescription drug plans from over 30 different insurance carriers.
How much does it cost? We have a fixed income and can't afford extra expenses.
At the Medicare Help Desk, the consultation is completely free. We are here to help.
Thank you, Medicare Help Desk.
Hi, this is Justin Colvin, founder of the Medicare Help Desk. In my 17 years of experience, I routinely speak to seniors who are overwhelmed by the multitude of coverage options available to them. That's why I created the Medicare Help Desk, a place for you to get clear answers to all your questions and make sense of all the confusion. I've helped thousands of clients, and I live right here in Tallahassee with my family. I am active in my church and wish to help and serve my community. If you need help navigating the Medicare landscape, I'm easy to find. Just visit the MedicareHelpDesk.com. That's the MedicareHelpDesk.com.
Tallahassee's favorite family-owned Apple and Mac product store has moved to an all-new location. Mac & More Systems is now located at 230 John Knox Road. Same great people, same great services, same great prices, all at a new location. Mac & More offers computer and Apple device sales, one-on-one consulting, business services, and the most experienced Apple repair team in the city. Learn how to get the most out of your Apple gear. Come by and say hi to the Mac & More Systems team today at their new location, 230 John Knox Road.
This is Ken Wondergem, owner of Gem Mazda of Tallahassee, serving North Florida and South Georgia for over 20 years. And I'm happy to announce that things are finally back to normal at Gem Mazda. Our lot is loaded with brand new Mazdas for the first time in 2 years. So if you've been waiting for the price and selection of new cars to return to normal, the wait is over at Gem Mazda, where we've always provided our customers with the highest quality of service and care. You know Mazda's reputation for efficient, dependable, and affordable vehicles, but you simply must experience the luxurious new lineup of 2023 Mazdas in stock now at Gem Mazda during our New Year's sales event. Get adventurous and connect with nature in a brand new 23 Mazda CX-50 with all-wheel drive. But hurry in while the value of your trade is still high. At Gem Mazda, we take our slogan seriously. No games, no gimmicks, just a gem of a deal. Gem Mazda of Tallahassee, Capitol Circle Northwest, just up from West Tennessee Street, and always open at gemmazda.com.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee. The latest betting odds and live movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
Florida Gators a 4-point road dog at Texas A&M at the Reed Arena today. 137.5 the total. The Gators have won 3 straight. Florida State has a 4.5-point dog. Upset Notre Dame 84-71 in South Bend. Win paid out plus 175 with the money line. The total closed at 142. The over cashed at 155. Florida State visiting Pitt on Saturday. Tampa Bay Lightning $1.75 road favorite at Vancouver. Today, the Canucks had the worst home record of the NHL at 4-12-7. Kansas City laying 8.5 against the Jaguars at Arrowhead Saturday in the AFC divisional round. Sign up now for your free VSiN subscription at vsin.com/subscribe. For more sports betting news and information, go to vsin.com. Mike Son at Real Talk 93.3.
Moments like
What's up, guys? Our next partner that you're going to hear from is Athletic Greens. You've heard me talk about Athletic Greens in the past. Happy to talk about them again. I take Athletic Greens every day. And I gave them a try because certainly I wanted more energy, sustained energy. I wanted to support my immune system. I don't like taking pills and vitamins per se. And I wanted something that tasted good too. And the first time I tried it, I was very surprised. It had an appreciable effect on my energy levels. And also, over time, you'll note that it helps your skin, your hair, your nails. I don't have a lot of hair, but if I did, I bet I could feel that. I bet I could tell. It's a comprehensive health habit, and it is a powerful one at that. AG1 is great for recovery. That's Athletic Greens. And I take mine basically when I wake up every morning. I don't have to worry about it because you get all the nutrients that you want. It's the best way to ensure that you're going to get all of your vitamins. It's a carbon neutral business, by the way, if that's important to you. It is to a lot of people, and that's good to know as well. I would also note that it is a comprehensive solution to what you need from a supplement routine. Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs right now with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/JCS. Helps me out, guys, if you use that. Not financially, but it lets them know that you heard this ad on my show. And I do take it, and I am vouching for them because I enjoy their product. athleticgreens.com/JCS. Check it out. I think you'll note the difference in your life with a simple drink each and every morning to start your day. athleticgreens.com/JCS.
Them gone, not tomorrow, but right now. It always puts a smile on my face to hear the reaction of a customer when I tell them we'll have someone out there in a couple of hours. At Paul's, I get the privilege of making your environment safer and more healthy for your family and pets. And because Paul's provides a same-day service guarantee with minimal wait, we get to begin the process right after I receive the call.
If you live in Leon County and call us by noon, Paul's Pest Control will be out by 5, guaranteed. We're a local company, and it's our mission to help keep Tallahassee area customers comfortable and free from the problem that pests bring. And we do so with treatments that are friendly to our environment for the elimination of termites and any other pests.
And a greener lawn, too. Call Paul's. We'll get them all.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5.
Warchant.com here. You'll see slowly but surely we'll roll some of these interviews out for you of the new guys. Yeah, I think we already have some up. In fact, cornerback transfer Fintrell Cypress was excited to uphold the legacy of DBU. I don't ever get into that debate because it's foolish, but it also is funny. But that's fine. Good. I'm glad you want to hold it down, baby. Hell, one of ours had 3 picks in a playoff game that they somehow lost. That's the other aspect of that we didn't talk about last hour when we were talking about whether or not the Chargers should move on. And the answer is yes, they should, but it appears that maybe they won't be. They fired all their staff, but not the problem. How do you lose a game when you're +5 in the turnover margin? I don't think I've ever seen that. Tom, have you ever seen a +5 turnover differential to the plus for the team that lost?
Not in the NFL. There's not enough possessions in the NFL. The clock runs. In college, you could pull it off maybe, but not in the pros. It's almost impossible.
I don't know how it's possible. I started doing the math. I did. I told my wife. She was uninterested, but I said they should hand the ball off to Eckler. He's a pretty good player. I'd hand it to him a bunch. What if he only gets 1 yard? She said. I'd say 2nd and 9. Clock's running. Well, don't they have to get a first down? Not necessarily. I'd hand it to him again on this play. See what happens. Up 3rd and 6. Don't they want to get a first down? It'd be nice. I'm sure they desire it. May not be necessary. Clock's running. They hand it to him again here. Maybe run a screen pass, see if we can't get a first down or 2. And if we do, by the way, I'm going to hand it to him again. He's going to be very tired at the end of this game.
Yeah, that's what I'd say is maybe we'll be a little bit more risky and call a swing pass 3 feet away from the quarterback.
Hey. Hey, so you know what else I thought of? And I don't understand this. Another reason to fire Staley. You know, it's not illegal. It's not illegal to roll really athletic quarterbacks out of the pocket. Like, you can look at Herbert and be like, that dude is an athletic Jesse. Tell you what we're going to do, because they're getting to the spot. They figured out where he's going to be. We're going to go ahead and roll his ass out. We're going to run some draws and some screens to slow their ass down. But if they're going to continue to pin their ears, because desperate teams do that, we're going to go ahead and roll him out, give him a run pass option, maybe let him run for a first down or 2, keep that clock rolling. None of that happened in that game. It was the dumbest game I've seen in an awful long time.
So we've seen it now in college and pro this offseason. The best examples of neutering a head coach since Jason Garrett was not allowed to call the plays in Dallas. Remember that? It was just a public shaming every single week for Jason Garrett.
By the way, Jason Garrett's brother is on the staff here at FSU.
Outstanding coach. Fantastic guy. But we all remember that because Dallas is what Dallas is. And he ended up becoming the OC, I think, at the Giants afterwards. But number one, Staley somehow keeps his job, but it's Lombardi's fault that they blew the 27-0 lead. That offense was uninspiring. I grant you. No, there's no doubt about that with Justin Herbert. We've been talking about that for years. But you're gonna save that guy and cut Lombardi? Okay, that's one. And then the other one in college, which I don't know that we've addressed on the air, but Petrino's calling plays at Texas A&M. Jimbo's not allowed to call plays anymore.
I don't know if he's not allowed, but yeah.
Well, it's a Petrino. I don't think Jimbo and the Petrino family are on very good terms. So I love that.
The handshake we saw after that ass stomping, was it Idaho?
Idaho.
He was the hoe after the 80-something to 7, whatever that final score was. Yeah. And the look on his face. You know, it's fascinating, though, really quickly back to this. When you have 6'5", 6'6" quarterbacks that can move, you look at almost every other team, including the Butts, who got the win. They do understand, as lost as he was in the first half, and that was startling to see the confusion. Trevor Lawrence looked like he had never seen zone coverage before. It was startling to watch him confuse man and zone over and over again. But in the second half, because Peterson's a really good coach, he decided to mix it up, started to do some things differently. Hey, I don't know. If it's not working, let's shake some things up here and give my man some confidence. And he did, but he also knows when to utilize his legs. I don't know how you have Herbert, who's one of the more athletic dudes at the position in the game, and not look around the league and see how those guys are used. All you got to do is look at the Giants. And he's going to make it. That kid's going to make it. He's turned the corner. They figured it out with this kid. I'm not saying, he's God's gift to quarterbacks. Minnesota's defense is an embarrassment. But they used Daniel Jones the right way. He had 78 yards rushing.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of as Lawrence is rallying the Jags, and this is going to happen because you had that feeling after it gets to a certain point, this is going to happen, is if Matt Gay could make a kick, we would have gotten that in Tampa. You would have gotten the Jameis Winston experience on Wild Card Weekend. Would they have won the Super Bowl? No. But would he have gone for 4 touchdowns and 4 picks? And it's a 3-point game, you're damn right we would have seen that in the playoffs. And I felt so robbed that we didn't get that in Tampa at least one time.
Yeah, I hated that too. That is frustrating, but it all worked out in the end. And now the end is upon us as, obviously I would think, are they going to announce this yet? I haven't checked ESPN today since the show started anyhow. What are we waiting on with Leftwich? What's going on here?
I don't know what's going on there. So there was a report out of Tampa, basically as the clock was hitting 000, one of the outlets down there that said he's gone.
Yeah, well, 2 different reports said he was fired, and he should be, and it's self-evident.
Nobody brought it up that night. Bowles didn't, in his exit interview yesterday, say that it was a done deal, but he didn't rally behind Byron either. I don't know what's taking so long. Is there some sort of process that you have to go through with HR before you can officially make this announcement? Because that's overdue. And here's another guy that's going to survive in Todd Bowles. He's going to survive this.
Yeah, but I'm going to get it. But hold on, Tom. Let me, I get it. I know where your head's at, and I'm not in total disagreement. But in fairness to Todd Bowles, who does not have overwhelming support amongst the Bucs faithful, let's put it that way, he hired nobody on that staff. Every one of those players and coaches he inherited. And I think if we're being fair to a guy who's been a coach for a year, that you have to let him bring in his people before you decide to fire his ass.
Yes, you could make that argument. I could also make the argument that
I understand
he had everybody at his disposal for a playoff game in which he made Dak Prescott look like Peyton Manning at the height of his power. And even a little bit better than that, maybe. It's for some stretches. Everybody was healthy. How do you look that lost defensively consistently as the game goes along? And how do you not? He was Mr. Blitzer. You saw how conservative he got in the middle stretch of that game where he's saying the 4-man rush. It could have been 10 seconds. The 4-man rush is not getting home, Todd. Let's not play 2-man under. This is just, it is what Tampa deserved after watching them for 17 games of poorly coached football. They got what they deserved. It was almost like the Noles couldn't make that comeback in the Rose Bowl, even though they had holes the size of Texas for Dalvin Cook to run through. It didn't feel like that Rose Bowl was something that Florida State deserved for kind of going through the motions for the 12-game regular season.
Yeah.
The Bucs looked in the wild card game the way they looked all damn season long.
Yeah, and I wasn't, and you and I debated this. I was not a believer that defense was stout. I understand what the numbers said. I just didn't think they were that great. I thought that we saw elements of this all the time. Now, the problem for the season is the offense. So there's no reason to focus on the defense. Yes, that game, they were terrible. It didn't surprise me they were terrible because they've had pockets of football where they were that kind of terrible for whatever reason. They were good in the red zone defensively most of the year, which saved their ass. And I also thought that basically, well, for whatever reason, and this is a different discussion if we were still doing Scuttlebucks, there's confusion in the secondary constantly, and I do not understand that part of it. I don't understand why they're confused all the time. Now, it doesn't matter anymore. They're going to have to make some changes. That's fine. Look, lest we forget, the Bucs won 13 games a year ago, won the division, and came back close to beating the Rams, who won the Super Bowl. They were fine. It has not been a disaster. Everybody wants to jump in now and talk about what a disaster. No, man, it was fine. You got what you paid for. It worked out. The Bucs anteed up, won the Super Bowl, won back-to-back division titles, went to the playoffs all those years. That's fine. That's a win. We win. The NFC South lost. We won. Suck it. Everybody, suck it. That's the end of it. Now, all of these things come to an end. See, the Rams came crashing to an end. But they won. they're turning around going, boy, what a tough year. Look at that shiny Lombardi trophy. And all of these teams chasing it, especially those that have never come close to winning it, would gladly exchange places. Now you just have to go about the process of figuring out how to put one foot in front of the other. What's the quickest way to avoid, in my mind, a lingering hangover and the problems that you sometimes see organizations go through when they transition.
Well, and we're talking about the problems that a lot of teams have, and some of them, Jacksonville namely, with Lawrence playing up and down for 2 consecutive winner-take-all games, are still fighting. The others aren't. But the NFL's got to be so thrilled with what they have in this next round. This weekend is outstanding for so many reasons. You got the star quarterbacks. You've got a marquee matchup with Buffalo and Cincinnati. And then also from a media market standpoint, I mean, Saturday night, you got Philly and New York.
It's
and
awesome.
That division has been ass for a decade, but this year it was good. This year that division was deep and talented, and there they are, 3 of the NFC East Titans still left in the NFC playoff picture. So they got everything that they wanted. They got the different time zones, they've got the marquee stars, and this weekend's going to whoop ass.
I think so. And you have a classic matchup in the 49ers and Cowboys, which for people of a certain age, you can remember being a war year in and year out. The winner of that game was going to the Super Bowl. It was some of the best football I'll ever remember in my lifetime because some of that is pre-salary cap era. So those 2 teams were loaded in a way teams could no longer be at every single position. And obviously you had, in my mind, like affable superstars at 9 different positions on both teams. And it was always one of the more intriguing matchup. So if you're of a certain age, you're going to tune into that game almost for nostalgia purposes. I think San Francisco will win the game. But really the NFC is set up for San Francisco to go through and then get beat by whoever comes out of the AFC because the 3 teams in the AFC are all better than San Francisco: Buffalo, Kansas City, and Cincinnati.
But San Francisco defensively could make it interesting.
But
I agree. I agree with you. I think that's an under game. I think it's going to be a slugfest. It's going to be old school. And I'll tell you, I saw on social media the other day, somebody posted the intro, the montage, Pat Summerhall introducing the game at Candlestick, the one that San Francisco did win. And I told you that the first Super Bowl I can remember is Chargers and 49ers, but the Super Bowl was played the game before. And I distinctly remember that intro because it's showing a train on a train track, and then they've got video just horribly kind of layered on the train. It's disgusting, but it brought me back, man. I thought, oh man, this was the beginning of my love for the NFL as it wasn't related to the Buccaneers. Like good football. That was the first game I can remember was Dallas and San Francisco at Candlestick.
An exercise in recognizing how quickly technology advances is to go back and watch games in increments of 5 years. And if you do that with both pro and college football, you're alarmed fairly quickly. By the time you get past 5 years, the first increment of 5. So you go, 2018, you're watching games and you're like, oh God, this looks terrible. It was 2018. It makes no sense. If you go look at 2013, you're thinking, my God, how can anybody see what's happening on the field? By the time you're in the 90s, my God, you're just absolutely lost.
What's crazy to me is I guess they're trying to appeal to kids, but there are things that they continue to do now that I know look terrible now, and they're going to look even worse 5 years from now. Like, for example, the cartoon characters on Fox, when somebody scores, and they're all hulked out, like Tom Brady's jacked with the pythons of Hulk Hogan in his prime. Like, that never looked good. And in 5 years, we're going to say, why did Fox ever do that? And there are other examples of that over the years. They do it all the time on every network where it's like they have the fake scoreboard that has strings just extending to the sky and there's a shadow on the field. Like, I don't understand who the hell comes up with this stuff. I'd rather just go back to the Fox NFL robots punching each other to death after a score than some of the weird stuff they do now. It just seems so, I don't know, childish, some of the stuff they do. That's a get off my lawn rant. Sorry about that.
By the way, should be noted, and I think this is another reason the NFL is so popular. I know I made some, grandiose statements that sounded like certainties, but I will recognize that they are not that. Those are the odds that I'm leaning with and towards. And I got lucky, by the way. I did have Jacksonville on the money line to win that game, and it was paired with a parlay, and parlay I got right was San Francisco easily beating Seattle. That wasn't hard. But the other games, if you think about this for a second, in no world should that Buffalo and Miami game had been close. It's 17-0. The Dolphins aren't competitive. They're with their third-string quarterback. The game is over. Josh Allen decides to turn the football over, not once, not twice, but 3 times, and make that game fascinating. The Bills outgained the Dolphins by over 200 yards. It didn't feel like the two teams were on equal footing in any way, shape, or form, and yet here we were at the end of that game going, are the Bills going to lose to the Dolphins and their third-string quarterback? And as cool a story as that was, that kid didn't play that well. That was Buffalo gave them a chance to be in that game. And oh, by the way, the same thing happened in the first half of the San Francisco-Seattle game. And oh, by the way, we go through all these games, and the next thing you know, they're all close. What is Cincinnati doing playing a game against Huntley that can be decided in the fourth quarter? And if you don't get a 98-yard fumble return to the house on a punched-out football quarterback dive, you might lose to that Ravens team? That can never happen. And this is why hope springs eternal. If you make it to the playoffs, the teams are built, because it's a salary cap league, to be 500. And yes, the difference is usually the quarterback. But if the quarterback doesn't play well, you've got a chance to beat anybody if you're anybody, no matter what your regular season record was. And that's why people hold out hope.
Yeah. All the insurance in the world that I bought on the Bills and Dolphins spread didn't do enough. I went inside of 6 instead of inside of 7, and it still didn't happen. And you're right, in the San Francisco-Seattle game, it's a turnover deep in San Francisco territory that flips that game on its head from what was an even matchup to, and I mean, again, it would be criticized. You'd be criticized left and right as a San Francisco coach or some of the key moments in that game that went awry. But at the end, the score was not indicative of how kind of tight that game was. But the Buffalo one is always going to stick in my craw because you could see it coming the entire second quarter, which lasted 90 minutes. Yeah. I think the final 2 minutes from the 2-minute drill or 2-minute warning to halftime lasted about 40 minutes. And it was excruciating as somebody who had Buffalo minus 5.5 in a 3-team teaser. I could tell you that.
I had a 2-team teaser, and that was Jacksonville money line and San Francisco minus 9.5. I was not worried about San Francisco. I thought Seattle had taken a turn for the South before the playoffs ever began, and I love that San Francisco defense. But obviously, I presume to have lost the bet when it was 27-0 Chargers. But let's go, Butts! How about that? There you go, Jacksonville. You and your terrible uniforms won me some money. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Roofing and construction services. T-Spark.construction.com. We conquer all peaks. We fix those darn leaks. Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises. Roofing and construction services. T-Spark. T-Spark.construction.com.
License number CCC 1331204. Hey, this is Greg Tish. Here's something you might know about me. I don't drink coffee. I have never had a cup of coffee in my life. Well, that is until now. So why change now? Well, it's because my dear friend at Grassroots Coffee reached out to me after hearing me say that and insisted that I give his product a try. I've been making a huge mistake. The world of coffee is fascinating. I always thought coffee is coffee, you know? No, it's not. I have tried their coffee and it is fantastic. Now, I've got a fascination with learning more about the best coffee in our area. Grassroots Coffee is locally roasted, locally owned, and locally loved. You can find whole bean Grassroots Coffee on the local aisle at Publix, also in Whole Foods. But the best way to get this black gold is to order it online. They literally grind the fresh roasted beans to your preferred level, bag it, write the date on it by hand so you know the exact day your coffee was roasted. It doesn't get any more fresh than that. Order yours now. Just go to grassrootscoffee.com and choose the coffee you want and how you want it, and join me. Let's step up our coffee game together and also support a great local business.
Hey Tallahassee, it's Sarah with Seminole Auto Glass. You're probably driving right now, which means you're surrounded by glass. Did you know that each piece is made differently? Your windshield is 2 sheets of glass with a thin plastic in between. This allows it to take an impact without going all the way through. Side and back glasses are typically tempered. This strengthening process is what allows them to be shattered in the event of emergency. Regardless of the glass or how it breaks, we can help. Trust your local auto glass experts. Seminole Auto Glass, proudly serving the Big Bend for over 15 years. Better call Seminole.
Jerry's Famous Cigar Shop is a special place. It's Tallahassee's only traditional gentleman's cigar lounge with a massive collection of hard-to-find boutique cigar brands, a staff with over 100 years of combined cigar knowledge and experience, the best prices in town with full box discounts, a great selection of beer and wine, indoor and outdoor seating, private lockers, and best of all, Jerry's is a local family-owned business. Visit us on Sherrill Road or the new lounge on Kerry Forest Parkway, the only cigar lounge for the true gentleman.
We understand how important it is to have transportation you can rely on. So no matter what the road ahead brings, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for over 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise.
I'm Andy Cohen with Florida Farm Bureau Insurance. Please call me at 850-671-FARM.
Hey everybody, the perfect fireplace makes your house a home. How's your fireplace looking? Not too well? Hearth and Patio can help you with that. Actually, Hearth and Patio can help you with anything fire. Give my friends a call at Hearth and Patio. If you need new fireplace upgrade, fireplace repair, you need custom outdoor kitchen, grills, or an amazing fireplace for your backyard. 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282. Or you can visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth Patio Tallahassee. They keep the home fires burning.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now.
I did not win the national contest on DraftKings, even though I was in first place on Thursday, and all of you prayed for me. It did no good. It did no earthly good whatsoever. It's as if God doesn't care about my gambling. And so, what are you gonna do? I didn't win. However, that said, I did win money. A decent amount, but not what I was hoping for. And I blame Tom.
Well, where are we going to dinner, big shooter? What kind of money are we talking about? We got steakhouse kind of money. We got
we can get a nice steak. Yeah, we won that.
All right.
You didn't win
Congratulations.
I didn't win the new car that I was hoping to win. I didn't win that kind of money. A couple semesters of college for Bryce. I didn't win that kind of money, but I did win a hearty meal for the two of us if we'd like.
Congratulations to us. That's awesome news.
Yay, us. Yeah, you get to do that just by virtue of being my friend. Like you told everybody on Twitter.
I think what I'll do is when we go out to dinner, I'll live stream maybe, the appetizer, and then we could just selfie and discuss, and it'll be great. We could talk to the waiter or waitress, and then we could discuss how much we're going to tip them. Right. Because that's also something that, people, they just want to know.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm a damn good tipper. And I'll make sure to tweet that. I never want to. Well, Tom, as a public figure, you can't get caught being cheap on the tip. You gotta do the right thing. I would tell you this though, that it was over after our round of golf. Was that Thursday or Friday? Whenever we entered the clubhouse, it was freezing, and I remember we were sitting there sharing a cold beverage, and I said, "But alas, I did not win the national contest." Now I was in 5 contests, and I won money in 3 of them. So it was a good weekend. But hey, that's all right. You got to buck up, soldier. It's not for the faint of heart. I have already mapped out my selections for this week's tournament, which, by the way, is the weirdest of all. The Amex is strange. They play on 3 different courses. It's a 54-hole cut. It's also a pro-am. I don't know why so many of the top players are choosing to play it. Like, I would hate that. 3 different courses, plus I got to deal with some slappy over here and yuck it up with him for 7.5-hour rounds. I mean, I would hate that. I would.
So, Rob, what are the keys to success at your company?
Yeah.
That's how that's going to go.
Mortgage broker business going? Is it going all right? Tell me more about that, Steve. Man.
Well, Jordan Spieth, I've got 3 tenets of success. And
I'm trying to win the tournament. I'm trying to win the tournament. My guy's telling me about the pool business he opened in 77. I'm glad it worked out, Keith. But this is a tough 246 uphill with a crosswind, and I'm 2 back.
Yeah, thanks, Keith. Could you stand over there? Your shadow is in my line. This putt is worth $50,000. Could you get your shadow out of my line?
Hit it already? Could you hit sometime today? We've been out here for 6 hours. Hit the ball, man. You ain't winning nothing. I can.
I think I know the answer to Noel Dad's question for you, which is who would be the worst celebrity to golf with? And his initials are CB. Those are his initials.
Roseanne.
Oh.
I think I win.
I mean, in general, but Chris Berman, that would be the worst celebrity to golf with.
I knew where you were going. I wasn't going to bring it up. And he tends to thrust himself into these tournaments somehow, some way, still gets invites. And it's awful. It's just not. I mean, look, I'm not trying to tell you if put in that same situation where all of a sudden you get told, yeah, man, you're going to be golfing with John Rahm and, whomever, right? That you wouldn't feel all kinds of nervous. You would. That's got to be. I mean, imagine these poor bastards back in the day that are getting paired with Tiger Woods. Whew. I mean, the weight of the world on your shoulders of that opening tee shot. Go ahead, Bob. I mean, good God, you'd be like, he's watching you. You're like, hold on here, Tiger, a little nervous. Don't usually play in front of people, let alone the greatest golfers to ever lace them up.
I guess you're going to be useless this week. Okay. All right.
I mean, it would be awful. But so the point is, I get that they can be nervous, but man, when Berman plays, it's the worst. He hits it 107 yards dead left and then yucks it up with everybody while his crazy wispy hair is blowing in the wind. Stop that. Don't go out there and play if you can't hit it at all.
Yeah, he thinks he's on the same level with Bill Murray in terms of fan favorite. Like he does not have the awareness to know that you're this other guy, dude. You're the highlight guy from 30 years ago.
It's frustrating. It is. It is. But anyhow, so that just so you know, we will be wagering yet again. There's some stick-to-itiveness here, and one of these times, maybe the gambling gods don't want me to announce to everybody arrogantly that I am in first place in the country at any given day during a tournament.
That's fair. Your picks are still highly in demand, and I can tell you, you win some, you lose some. I'm mad about the Bills inventing a way to not cover 5.5 points. 5.5. Come on, guys. But the Jags live wagers on Saturday were big.
You made plenty of money on that. I saw that.
Yes, sir.
I saw you chasing. I said he's going for it. He's gonna get the but also that you could see it happening. You could watch it unfold. You sit there in awe as that thing's going down. And you're like, oh man, they're gonna make this interesting, aren't they? And one thing to note, all seriousness, we talk about time management, we talk about possessions, counting possessions, we talk about coaches that seem to have an understanding of time, situation, score, all of these things. you are allowed to score more than 3 points in the second half. I mean, that is the other part about this. Had they scored one touchdown, the math may have been too much. It may have just been an impossibility for the Jags, no matter how well Trevor Lawrence turned it around from 4 interceptions to 4 touchdowns, no matter how good a game Doug Peterson called, and he did, and he is a great coach. It may have just been too much had the Jags defense not given up, had the Jags defense given up a touchdown. That was the other thing. I do love watching the two coaches in this league that, even though I don't care about their teams, I watch their games. And Kyle Shanahan is number one on the list. He can win with any quarterback, including, absolute bums. It doesn't matter. It's like his offense is quarterback proof. You're going to be successful whether you like it or not. I will force you to be successful even if you lack any ability at all. We're going to win games because I'm that good. It's almost like Bill Walsh back in the day, right? Just taking average athletes and being like, I got it. Now, Steve Young was a great athlete, but you know what I mean. Joe Montana. Look, come on. What are we talking about? That offense was what it was all about. Now, and the other is Doug Peterson, man. How do you take a guy, and this would concern me if Doug Peterson weren't the coach, but Trevor Lawrence looked as bad as a kid could look given his status. How do you have that level of confusion in a home playoff game? It's not like, anyhow, he looked like he didn't belong on the field. And then the second half happens, and that is really good coaching. That's somebody who's no doubt having to put his arm around a guy. You don't think he's flustered? He is the reason you are going to lose this game. He is the reason that you are down 27-7 or whatever. He's the reason that you have been terrible for a half. Usually you don't say that. Usually you say, oh, well, there was this drop, there was this penalty, there was this defensive bust. No. Trevor Lawrence was the reason they sucked. The specific reason in the first half. And then he becomes a big reason why they win. That is really good coaching. And rather remarkable. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
News now.
A resident of Tallahassee died in a shooting incident in Seminole County. On Monday evening, 31-year-old Princess Tolliver was a victim of a shooting that occurred Monday morning at State Road 46A and Reinhardt Road. Tolliver was one of 6 victims who were injured by gunfire. The sheriff's office notes that 5 victims were in stable condition as of Tuesday afternoon. The sheriff's office notes that the suspect was still at large and believes the shooting was not a random act. A precautionary boil water notice has been issued for Talquin Electric customers in the Gadsden County area. Talquin Electric Cooperative says a boil water notice is in effect for water members in the Gadsden Regional Water System. They say approximately 45 water services are being affected by the notice. People living in the following areas need to make sure they are boiling the water first before using it. 1767 through 2435 Talavana Trail, 4225 through 4325 Talavana Trail, and Magnolia Court. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A blend of clouds and sun this afternoon with a high of 74. South winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 59 tonight. Cloudy skies expected. Chance for isolated storms tomorrow. High of 77. A mix of clouds and sun Friday with highs in the upper 60s. Chance for scattered showers Saturday. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 70.
Every day, Sellers makes life a little better for homeowners, helping them find the best design ideas for their homes with the best quality tile, carpet, and hardwood flooring. Even mosaics, ceramic, and vinyl solutions are at their fingertips in their remarkable showroom. Maybe it's time for you to get the Sellers advantage for your home or office. Find them on Capitol Circle Northeast, just north of Mahan Drive, or online at sellerstile.com. For style, quality, and design, get the Sellers advantage. In Tallahassee, call 656-8453.
My man Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one of the death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space. You got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, is what you're saying.
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow little burn.
This thing just finished the pinking. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Hey, Matt.
Yes, Greg?
You know all the different ways that you can listen to Real Talk 93.3?
There are several.
So we've got realtalk93.com. You can go back and listen to all of our shows in the podcast section.
That's right. You can also listen on our app as well.
Search Real Talk 93.3 and look for the red microphone and download our app. Never go anywhere without us.
And of course, you can always listen right on the radio.
Well, they are listening.
Are they?
If they're hearing this commercial, then they're listening.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young.
Penn State get the services of Malik McClain. Meant to mention this before. He joins Penn State via the NCAA transfer portal. And, I won't be surprised if he does good things. Penn State's going to be a good team next year. They were a good team this year. We tend to forget how good Penn State was because in the most important high-profile game, they got stomped in the second half by Michigan. And had they been remotely competitive in that half, we may not have forgotten what they were. But they went on to have a very, very good season. And I think they're going to be a good team next year. And I wouldn't be surprised if Malik McClain did really good things for them. He can be a guy, depending on if you have speed on the other side, he can be a guy that can be a featured receiver. I think it speaks very highly of the depth that Florida State's wide receiver room now possesses and how far it's come. You would never let, Malik McClain walk a couple of years ago, but you can afford to let him walk now. If that young man, and I'm going to give you a scenario, it is not one that I am sure of, but work with me. If that young man wanted more touches and didn't feel like there was enough emphasis on his skill set within the receiver room, or that he was going to be able to showcase his talents to a degree that he wanted, or if it were that coupled with perhaps thinking he could make more money in the NIL, or both, and could get that elsewhere, then you got to let him walk. I would kudos to both sides. I would say if you're Florida State, I'm not going to war for Malik McClain, not with what I already have here. And if I'm Malik McClain and I want to be more of a featured guy and I have that opportunity to do it at a really good program in the Power 5 and I might be able to secure more dollars in order to do so, then I can't blame him for taking it. This could very well be the way that the system's supposed to work. Good for him. And I wish him well. He practiced hard, guys. He showed up every week. He played hard. He was a pretty good player for us. I wish him well.
Yeah, he looked like he was emerging towards the end of the season, making different kinds of plays that had you hopeful that if he stuck around, he could have a breakout season. The thing is, with NIL, if let's just assume what you were saying and I'll pick up what you were putting down. In the NIL world, it is kind of like a salary cap structure at the next level. You got to make decisions. You got to make decisions on who is the priority to keep. If retention is, let's say, the battle's end, big time focus, and it certainly has been this first year of their existence, you're going to have to make some tough decisions. And I'm just so happy for Florida State right now as a football program that you're in a place where you have to make tough decisions. Because as you get good in salary cap leagues at the professional level, you got to say goodbye to some really good players. Happens in hockey with dynasties, happens in the NFL all the time with teams that win Super Bowls. You mortgage some things on the one hand, but on the other hand, there's just, if you've got 4 or 5 young studs, they all come up together. You want to win while they're all on their first contract, because you can't keep them all when it's time to re-sign them. I hope Florida State has more of these moments with like a Trayshawn Ward departing, a Malik McClain departing in the years to come. God forbid it ever happens on the offensive line or linebacker. We'll really be in a good place as a program. But if we continue to have these moments where you say, oh, damn, I liked him, that means that we're doing really good things on the football field.
Yeah, and I don't lose sight of how far they've come. I've spent a lot of time when I read these articles that make me sad. I'm sad to lose Malik McClain in the sense that I thought, like you, he was emerging, and I want to have as many weapons as possible. Not fewer weapons, more weapons. Yes, I'd like options. So I maybe sad's not the right word. Disappointed to see him go. That said, I get it, and I also thought long and hard about it. If, let's just say, it came down to opportunity or money, I was fine with both of those situations saying, no, we can't give you greater opportunity, and no, we can't give you greater money. We're not going, or we can, but we're not going to. I'm not going to guarantee you that you're going to have whatever minimum touches you think you should have. I can't do that, and I'm not going to guarantee you more money than whatever we're offering. So, yeah, that's how it works sometimes.
Well, and that's going back to your point when you were closing out the first hour talking about what it means to have a healthy NIL situation. You can't have one rogue dude in the room who says, I don't care, that's my favorite player, so we're going to keep him, and I'm coming out of my own pocket, because you're resetting your own market within it. It's almost like if you've got a dysfunctional situation with NIL, it's like an MLB franchise having 4 different co-general managers, and they're all cutting their own deals.
Yeah, it can never happen. You have to be on the same page, and that's where you get back to it needs to be egoless to some extent. It has to be sustainable. The relationships, the cooperative, that they have to have clear direction in the space. Tom, is what you're talking about there. Like, everybody has to understand, like, well, okay, this is how much we have to spend this year on roster retention. Here's what we think so-and-so is worth. No, Jerry, I'm not resetting the market because you love him. I mean, he's not worth that to me and us, and it's not going to happen. And you have to have a guy that's be in charge there, certainly, and willing. But it has to be based on real information, and it has to be a business-like approach, not emotional. And so, yeah, I think that's where you get to that point, right, where it ends up being a decision about money and or in this case, maybe touches. I don't know specifically, but I think that's the way that you got to go about it.
Well, and I think it's much tougher to promise touches, because that becomes a head coach discussion or a position coach discussion. I think when it comes to the NIL, you got to promise whatever the money is, and that's got to be it. And then if you don't get the touches, but you get the money, that's not our problem at the collective level. That's a you and the coach problem. You can't let those things bleed together. Like, for example, if Rodney Hill came due next year after having a good year, I would have to recuse myself.
Yes, you would. I would
discussion
get out of the room in the midst of the conversation because I would know where it's headed.
And I would have to be adult enough.
Here thinks Rodney Hill is Emmitt Smith, and we're not going to have.
Now, guys, if he is, I will have an I told you so card for decades.
Yes,
but I'm going to recuse myself because I am for the greater good here, and I'm too biased. I love the guy.
Warwick Dunn is a better example since we're talking about the Noles. But yes, I mean, it's like, all right, I like Rodney Hill too, Tom. You're going to have to leave the room because I know where this is headed.
But you know what? In this analogy, there are a lot of situations around the country where guys are saying, I'm not leaving, I'm staying. But you've got to have adults that say, you're right. That's fair. You guys go ahead. You make the decision.
So Rodney Hill's going to have a good year next year, buddy. I'm glad you brought him up. I'm really excited. He's going to have a good year. He'll be, I think, one of the first options outside of the great Trey Benson, who could have a monster year. Holy moly. This offseason, sir, the difficulties of this offseason, I'm going to have to pour myself into interviews and golf and things of that ilk because we all are going to be so desperate to see this team line up and play football. Luckily, as you have correctly pointed out, spring football is not that far away. And for the first time in a long time, spring football feels like something that if you're a Florida State fan, you are going to care. You're going to love that. You're going to want to see spring football, the daily updates and practice and all of that stuff. I'm not selling the website. I'm just saying it's true. When you have this kind of competition, position by position, in the running back room, in the wide receiver room, on the offensive line, golly, it's the defensive line. Goodness gracious. We talked a lot about that too.
And the great part is that's part one of position battles that go into fall camp. So even when this is all done, you get half credit for it, maybe even a third of the credit. But then the big camp comes in fall. It's just watching that journey and watching guys develop has been really fun because it's been really bad to solid to good. And now you're trying to find and split hairs between good, very good, or very good and elite. And that gets really fun because it's something we haven't witnessed with our own eyes. I never have covering the team because Jimbo didn't give us access when it got to that level. We had access for Jimbo's rise, but not that period where they became 29 straight kind of good. So I look forward to seeing that because at a couple positions, we're going to be elite next year. And real quick, just on the running back position, I'm looking at the disparity of the carries for the top three guys. Trey ended up, yes, 154. 154 for Trey Benson leading the way by the end of the season. Trayshawn had 95. He played three fewer games. But then Toafili at 93. So is Rodney Hill going to go for 90-plus carries next year? Is that what you're telling me?
I hope he gets a lot more than Toafili.
This again.
I listen, I'm paid for an opinion. I'm giving you one. I'm telling you. Let's go, Rodney Hill. Let's take those Toafili carries away.
Why couldn't it just be, let's go Rodney Hill, not
buddy.
Rodney save us from Lawrence? Why did it have to be that?
You want to do some wagers? Here we go. Tell me what you initially thought about these because I wrote them down when they came out. Jacksonville plus 8.5 against Kansas City.
That's going to be a KC. They've got first half problems in Jacksonville. If you go down the same way they played against Tennessee and then the Chargers, there is no cover at 8.5. So KC.
All right. So I am cooking up a way. I got more for you here in just a minute. I am cooking up a way to manipulate the numbers like we both like to do. And I'm going to find that one that we can go in on collectively, gang, and we'll all go for pizza after we get this victory. We're all going to do this. We're going to find the number by the end of the week that we think is tenable. And you can do these numbers. The real lines that look like this. That is the real line, by the way. Jacksonville plus 8.5. You're going to want to tease that over 10.5. The Giants are getting 7.5 against the Eagles. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you, Tom. Give me the Giants plus 7.5 all day in that matchup. All day.
So I'm looking forward to this because I'm going to be in a local New York bar on Saturday night watching this, and there's a groundswell around here. I'm looking forward, and it's not one in Manhattan that the tourists go to. Like I'm going to a local.
You got to go to a dingy ass local. Yes, man.
It's a pub with good television. It's going to be a good time, and I agree with you. That offense is on a roll. And they have the right kind of ignorance right now. They're ignorant to not know where they should go or shouldn't go. So that's a very dangerous thing.
Philly hasn't looked good in a month, Director Matthew. I don't know, buddy. Tough times. One and done for the Eagles after this prosperous season. And to an arch rival. How disappointing would that be? Elsewhere, the Bengals plus 5 against the Bills on the road. Something doesn't seem right with Josh Allen. Just saying. No. And finally, 49ers minus 3.5 against the Cowboys. I'm giving that 3.5. Cowboys are going to get romped.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys are widely overvalued because somehow we think that the Buccaneers were a 12-win team this year that just got blown out. That's the way that the conversation is being shaped about what the Cowboys just did to Tampa. The other thing I'd say is I just look at that under. I feel like that game's a race to 20.
Yeah, I don't know how a rookie quarterback's going to handle it. It's a different level of playoff pressure and the like, but it's just kind of fun. We'll manipulate those numbers. Those are the numbers that we have to move with. And the only one that I feel pretty happy with right from the get-go without manipulation is that Giants getting 7.5. And I think we're in agreement on that, right? Feel good about that. Other than that, I'm going to move them around. What would I have to do to get you to take Jacksonville?
Ooh. 13 and a half. Or, sorry, 14 and a half. 14 and a half.
My goodness gracious. Really? You no respect at all for the Butts.
I'm just saying, if they start slow again, you can't pick yourself up against what Kansas City's about to do.
I think you're probably right. I just was kind of worried and wondering, could I get you inside of under 14? If I could, I was going to maybe go ahead and do that.
It's the Danny DeVito.
One last quote for the night. That Kansas State coach whose team beat the wig of Bill Self, his name is Jerome Tang. And when he took over, he said, I'm going to make you change the way you see this program. And he has immediately. And you know what he did when they stormed the floor last night, Tom? He jumped up on the table and took the microphone and told the K-State fans, I told you all, you get one court storming. From here on out, just expect to win. My man, I like this guy, Tang. There we go, buddy. Way to go.
And your next head coach of the Florida State Seminoles, Jay Tang.
Man of my own heart. We're out here expecting to win these damn games. Stop running out here celebrating all crazy. Good work, Tom. Enjoy Manhattan. I'll talk to you tomorrow, buddy. Good work out of you, Director Matthew. Thanks to all of you who watched and or listened. Be well. Have a great night. We'll talk to you tomorrow on a Redemption Thursday. Peace.